Pastor Karl Kramer.
Yes, sir.
Good to be here with you.
Here we go.
And I get to grill you with some questions.
I'm excited.
It's going to be really good.
Let's go.
So I've heard this story before, but you always tell it a little bit differently whenever you tell it. How did you find your way to Wisconsin? Talk me through that whole journey.
Yeah. So, I was in Moody Bible Institute, downtown Chicago. And I got a job at a church in the west suburbs. And so I was there for about 8 or 9 years. And right towards the end of that time there, Heather and I were starting to feel restless and just feeling like, God, what are you doing? Like, we don't know what's going on. And I remember praying, like we were praying together and just saying, God, we don't want to move. Like, we lived in Hinsdale, Illinois, one of the wealthiest areas in the suburbs of Chicago. And we were very comfortable. And so we just prayed, like, God, we don't want to move, but if you're calling us to move, then you need to make us. And I remember within like 5 or 6 weeks, we had 3 different offers. We had done a lot of mission trips to the Czech Republic, and the missionaries that we supported as a church were home on furlough, and they met with us just to connect. We thought, and they were like, "Hey, one of the reasons why we came back is to gather a team to go and plant a church in Prague." And if you know anything about my wife or missions or overseas, like, she was like, "We're going to Prague." Well, within about 2 weeks of that, a guy that I had been doing ministry with at the church was like, I want to go and plant a church in Elmhurst, Illinois, which was just north of where we were. And he's like, I want you to come with me. Because I could really see us doing ministry together. And I loved him. I loved doing ministry with him. And so I was like, well, I'm going to Elmhurst. Heather was going to the Czech Republic.
Perfect.
And then we got a phone call from Wyatt Fisher, who had a significant role in my life, in my discipleship as a young believer. We had done some retreats together, trips out to Colorado together, even doing youth ministry together. And he contacts me and he's like, "Hey, are you interested in moving to Oshkosh?" And I'm like, "Oshkosh." But we had said, and we had prayed and said, "God, if you open the door, we'll step through it." And so really my heart was set on Elmhurst. Heather was like, I'm all in for going to the Czech Republic. And we had set up a meeting with Alan and Susan, and they came down to interview us and talk with us.
What year is this?
So this is 2000 spring, or this is like fall of 2004.
Okay.
So fall of 2004. So they come down, and we had a 2-hour lunch, and had lots of questions, almost trying to talk myself out of it. Like, sure, I'm going to try and throw as many, speed bumps in this thing to make sure that we don't end up in Oshkosh. And one of the things that God had been developing in me was a desire to preach and a gift for teaching. And so I had asked him, I said flat out, I said, would there be any opportunities for me to preach or teach? And he said, interestingly, we actually have a team teaching style. Steve comes back and teaches once in a while. Alan was teaching, Wyatt was teaching. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I remember after 2 hours of having lunch with Alan and Susan, driving back to our house, and we walked in the front door, and Heather and I looked at each other, and we were like, I think we're going to Oshkosh. And so the ball started to go from there, and the interview process. And we ended up here early in 2005. And been here ever since. So yeah, it's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, you have.
So
you didn't jump right into the lead pastor role that you have now.
No, thank goodness. Yeah. The church should be saying thank you.
What did you start as?
Yeah, so I was a youth pastor for quite a few years, and just love youth ministry, love growing in that role, and so it kind of took a lot of different forms. And I wore a lot of different hats as I was here for 20 years. and really looking at what that morphed into. But I was, the youth guy for a long time.
So youth ministry, then you moved into community life, adult ministry stuff.
Yeah. I always tell people I got demoted to adults. And
then you went back to youth.
Yep. So I stepped into the role of adult ministry. And during that time, the church had gone through a couple of youth pastors. Well, my kids had started getting into youth ministry. And so I really felt like, man, kids need consistency. I want to be there. I don't think that God's done with me yet. Alan was actually on sabbatical when this kind of unfolded, and I put together a job description that was the youth and family pastor. And so it kind of oversaw not just middle school and high school students, but like, what does it look like from cradle to college to oversee all of this ministry? And I met with Alan. He was on sabbatical, which was probably a no-no.
Yeah.
But I met with him for breakfast, and I handed him this job description. I said, "What do you think about this?" And he's like, "This seems like a really good role." He's like, "Do you have somebody in mind?" And I was like,
Yes, yes, I do, sir.
I would like to step into that role and really kind of propel this forward.
Sure.
In terms of what that looked like. And so I did step back into youth ministry with a little bit different focus on helping parents disciple and raise their children, and what did that partnership look like. And so it was really, cool to walk into that role.
Then you did from there to site pastor?
So then I went from that to, we did multi-site.
Yep.
And so we added New City. Pastor David came and was the site pastor down there. And so I stepped into the role of site pastor at that time. And then Tommy had moved over to being the youth and family pastor. Yeah. And so, so it feels like all those years kind of blur together.
They do. Absolutely. And always changing.
Yeah.
There's always that, that morph and shake, and because to meet the needs of the church family in those different times.
And it's one of the things that I love about even our staff, that there's always this desire to like jump in and do whatever needs to get done for whatever season to further the kingdom. And so it's been really, really fun to be a part of that.
Yeah. Do you think that's part of the reason you've been here for 20 years is because you've been able to move into so many different types of roles?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I want to go back to originally when we came. I think one of the visions that God had laid on my heart was bloom where you're planted. You've heard me say that many times, and just thinking of like when God calls you somewhere, part of it is for my own growth, and so stepping into those different roles at different times has helped shape who I am. And so I think that bloom where you're planted is really, I hope, as other people look at my own life and ministry, I hope people have seen that growth in me and stuff. So, yeah.
As you think about, you can't say right now, okay? Caveat, you can't say right now.
Okay.
As you think about a season of ministry over the past 20 years, whether it's a role or whatever, what was your like, you're like, man, those are like the good old days.
Yeah.
What
now.
No, you can't say right now.
I'm kidding. I think, some of my one of my favorite seasons of ministry was in youth ministry. And I think one of the reasons why I look back and say that is I feel like there were all the parts of ministry that I had at that time. So like when I was the preaching pastor, right, there was a bullseye, and I knew exactly, like, I focus on teaching and I focus on that role. When it was adult ministry, right, I was focused on men's ministry, women's ministry, small groups, things like that. But I felt like when I was doing youth ministry, it was almost like I got to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
But I got to do it at a different scale, right? Yep. And there was a little bit more forgiveness when it comes to doing youth ministry. Your teeth,
some of that. Yeah.
And so it was really fun. And the group of leaders that we had around us, those volunteer leaders, our student leaders, like it
Yep.
was just special.
Yeah.
And just, I loved it. Yeah. It was really sweet.
That's really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. As you think about, so not just as a pastor and like your roles at church, but as you think about like you personally, as you think about the past 20 years, how has this place and this family changed you and shaped you and molded you?
Yeah. I feel like any time as a leader, when you think in your head, well, I'm gonna help other people, I'm gonna lead other people, I'm gonna teach other people, and then you start investing in the lives of people and how much those people teach you
Yeah.
in those moments. And I think that I mean there are numerous times where I can look back and I can say, man, I was a part of this community group, and the things that I learned from the people in that group, or when I was leading men's ministry, the things that I learned from those men, the groups that I was a part of on Wednesday nights before CSM started, and we would pray together. The things that I would learn from the group, that group of people that would gather together and pray. It's just, I look back at all those moments and I'm like, man, I have learned so much from those people. Not to mention the support and the encouragement and people that have just been there for us as we've walked through all kinds of different things as a family.
Yep.
And so those personal things that you walk through, and you can count on somebody just showing up and being at your house, and being there for you in the moment. And so I think it's just been special to have that family. Not just a church that I'm here to serve, but a group of people that are like, I love them and they've been loving on us as well. And so that's been really sweet.
Yeah. It's not just a one-way street for you to care for them, but oftentimes them caring for you. And that's the way the body is supposed to function.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So as you think about being in this role, you've been in this role what, year and a couple months?
A little over a year.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So as you think about like talk me through the thoughts that you have, like as the overseers start to talk to you about moving into this role. So even before you jump into this role, but with some of those conversations and things like that, what's going on inside of Karl Kramer's head and heart as you're thinking about, okay, I think I might move into this lead pastor or senior pastor role.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, is that scary? Is it
Yeah.
exciting?
The emotions of, and I think a lot of people can resonate whenever there's changes, or people move or do different things, right? Like there's excitement, there's anxiety, there's doubt, like, man, can I do this? Am I able to? I'm so excited about that. And so the converge of all of those emotions can be really hard to navigate. But I felt, if I were to use one word, I felt prepared. And I think a lot of that had to do with Alan. Yeah. We weren't supposed to do this. And so I think a lot of it had to do with the way that Alan had prepared me for the role. Not only that, but the way I think that he prepared the church without even knowing it. Alan knew it. Without the church knowing it, without me knowing it. I think the handing off the pulpit to someone who's not the senior pastor it is just outside the box. Like I don't know any church that the senior pastor isn't the main communicator.
Yeah, very unique.
On a Sunday morning.
Yep.
And so I think Alan just did an incredible job of preparing me and preparing the church for that role. So I think even when the overseers started having that conversation with me, I knew, like I was like, man, Alan's gotten me ready for this, and I'm prepared.
Yeah.
So,
So you're the third senior pastor that community church has ever had in its 40 years, which in and of itself is really unique.
Yeah.
Like that really doesn't happen all that often. As you think about the lineage and you think about the legacy of community church, how does it make you feel that you're the next man up? Like after people like Steve and Alan and now Karl.
Yeah.
Like, how's that make you feel?
I think honored. I mean, to be a part of a church that has had longevity and has had our congregation is amazing in terms of the trust in leadership and following that leadership. And so I do feel honored to be a part of that legacy.
Yeah.
Standing on both of those men's shoulders is really sweet. I think the other part that I love is that they're very different, right?
Yeah.
So like Steve and Alan are very different men.
Yeah.
And in the way that they led, in the gifts that they have. And so I think that helps me step into this role,
sure,
knowing that like it hasn't been like, well, there was
this
Steve,
is the model,
and then Alan was just like Steve, and then Karl has to be just like Steve.
Yeah.
And so I think it's freeing to know that I can step into this role and I can be me.
Yeah.
And I can serve in the way that God's gifted me. And so, so I think that that's a really neat and exciting benefit to be able to step into this role.
Yeah, absolutely. Fun. And man, you just done, I've told you this before, but on camera, I'll say you're doing such a good job in this. Like you really have bloomed so well and really blossomed in this. It's been really cool to, like, from my vantage point, to see 15 years of like how you've grown and changed and gotten more gray hair and all those types of things, which I didn't have anything to do with.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
No, it's really great. Yeah. So when you think about this again thing, like 40 years is kind of a big deal. Now we're officially over the hill, so to speak, right? So as you think about this again thing, what's the idea behind that?
Yeah, I think I feel like again, as I look back and say, man, I'm honored to be a part of this legacy of community church being here for 40 years and the impact that they've made. And I feel like I don't want to change anything. I just want to keep doing what we've already done. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
well,
why?
I think because when I look back and I see healthy things, why would you want to change what's healthy? And so when I look back and I see the DNA of community church, and I see a church that was very successful in planting churches, right? And not just planting churches, but being a part of creating the church planting movement through Converge. Like Pastor Steve shared this past Sunday of 940 some churches that have been planted because of, Steve and Paul's vision for this is what a healthy church plant looks like. Because there are crazy statistics of churches that open up and then close the doors within 2-3 months. It's like crazy. And so that DNA, I'm like, let's just do that again. Like we don't have to, and I love the fact that we did multi-site and learned and grew through all of that. Yeah. But we don't have to do that. We can just go plant churches because that's part of who we are as a church. The worship component, the music component of our church is, I look at our worship ministry and I see all of the volunteers that we have and the quality of worship that we have on a Sunday morning. And it's hard to find it in the Fox Valley, let alone all of Wisconsin.
Yeah, it is.
And I do look back and I look at CDs from when Steve and Lynn were here,
Yeah.
and songs that they were writing, and and so I think that that's part of our DNA.
Yeah.
And I want to move away from that. I want to continue to reproduce that and see that happen. And so when I just think of, again, I'm like, let's just keep doing what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Because it's part of who we are.
Yeah.
Does that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think,
That's perfect. And I think you think about reach, connect, and empower. And this is one of the things you talked about where Alan was preparing you and the church as we went through a process of discerning those things and really putting those things down on paper of our values of reach, connect, empower. Like you are a huge part of that. So some of it is like, you don't have to reinvent things because you were a part of making it to begin with, So there's, as you think about like reach, connect, and empower, and like, that's not changing. We're just going to do it again.
Yeah.
How do you see it looking different in this time as opposed to 5 or 10 years ago?
Yeah. I think one of the ways that community church initially did that was by being I don't want to say seeker sensitive, but like seeker friendly.
Yeah.
Like very welcoming. People come through the doors. And I think I love that. And I want to be a hospitable church. But when I think about reach, I think about the fact that we need to be people who go where people are, right? Not just, hey, come check out my church, which we want to do.
Yeah.
But I think taking it to the next level of saying, go talk to your neighbors.
Yeah.
Go, instead of paying gas at the pump, go inside. There's people in there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and those people work there every day, and to get to know those people and have conversations with people. And I think that that's just a heartbeat of mine.
Yeah.
That I want us to be that type of a church. And I've shared this story before where when we first came, I remember going to get a haircut, and the barber's like, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I'm a pastor. Oh, what church? Community church. Where's that at? And I hated it. Like, it bothered me so much that I wanted people to be like, oh, community church, that's the church that ... right?
Sure.
Like I feel like if community church closed its doors tomorrow, is the city going to miss us? Is the city going to be like, man, we miss you guys, the impact that you've had, the way that you love on people, the way that you come alongside. So I feel like when I think reach, right, it's obviously, we want people to feel welcomed as they come through the doors, but we got to go.
Yeah.
We got to walk out of here and see on the doors before we leave the lobby. You're entering your mission field. Like, that's my heartbeat.
Yeah.
And thinking through what that looks like.
Yeah.
And the connect part, I mean, that's not going to change, right?
Yeah.
Like we're community church, right? So like, we want to be people who live in community. We don't do life alone. We're studying scripture together. We're playing together. We're laughing together. We're hurting together, serving together. All of those things that we do in community, I think is so important.
Yeah.
And then the empower piece, I feel like, especially as a staff, I mean, we've talked about this multiple times about if there's an area that I think we really need to grow in, it's empowering leaders to go out and live on mission. And not just leaders, but all of us, right? Like, we all have influence somewhere. And so thinking about how to do that strategically, and I'm excited to unpack growth track and things that you're working on to help people move in that direction and take their next step. And I just think that that's going to be a huge catalyst for the future of our church and possible church plan. Like, I think a lot of those things are going to come out of like, oh, God's gifted me in this way, so I can serve God and I can do this. And so I'm really looking forward to what that looks like.
So you want us to plant a church?
I would love for us to plant a church.
Why?
I think statistically, I look at, so the same way, we do an addition at our church for youth and families, because the percentage of people that come to know Christ are before the age of 18, right?
Yeah.
So like, man, if we want to reach lost people, this has got to be one of the things that we do. if I think about the next level of reaching lost people, statistically speaking, one of the best ways to evangelize is actually church planting, right? It's not standing on the corner with a bullhorn, or street evangelism. Like, we can do all of those things.
Yeah.
And I think those things can be effective. But if you look at statistics, some of the best ways to evangelize and reach people with the life-changing message of Jesus is church planting. So that, as I think about it, I'm like, this is one of the biggest reasons why I think it's important. The other part, and I'll take the reach and the empower, right, is if we are to be a sending church, not a gathering church, right? Because that's what God's called us to do, is go, not gather. And so if we're to go, and we have people who are being raised up as pastors, worship leaders, teachers, I don't mind sharing the pulpit. But the reality is there's only so many opportunities to do those things. And so if we're raising up those people, how are we sending them out? Well, one of the easy ways, I don't know if it's easy. But one of the clear ways.
Natural ways.
Natural ways is to go and plant a church,
For
right?
sure.
And then you've got a pastor and a worship leader and and kids ministry and all that stuff. So I think it makes sense.
As you think about like that vision, that dream, that desire that you and we have, like, what's that going to require? Like, what's that going to mean for us? Some of those things, because we don't have timelines, we don't have people, we don't know where, we don't know when, but some of that, like when you birth something like that, there is a bit of a pain that happens, just like natural childbirth, right? But what's that going to require of us as a church family?
I mean, the first thing, and I'm sure everybody's going to know that this is coming, but it's going to require sacrifice. I mean, we just time, finances, giving things up. Like I love when Steve was talking about Danny Parmalee, right? Here's a guy who was an overseer at Community Church, and for Steve to look at Danny and say, I think maybe you're built for church planting, and to speak that over someone, and then to go through an assessment and find out I think I could be used in this way. So some of it is like even a redirection of your entire life. And so I think for some people, it's going to require different things, right? So some people are going to give, some people are going to go, some people are going to reprioritize their calendar, right? And different things like that. So I think sacrifice, I think it requires a yes on the part of all of us. Because planting a church actually is going to cost us as a staff more. Right. Because now it's not just, Joe doing ministry or Tommy doing ministry or Wendy and Bobby doing ministry. It's, I'm going to do the ministry that I'm doing, but I'm also going to raise somebody up to watch me and join me. And then I'm going to watch them, and then we send them. And that takes time, so like, I think it's going to require more from us as well.
It really scratches that empower thing though too. Like, so it's that reach thing, but also that empower thing. And, as you're talking about that, I think, and one of you mentioned this earlier, the patience and the care that this church family has for us, even as staff and as pastors. Like, I think that's one of the other things that we're going to ask our church to do again is to be patient with people that we are training, and realizing that we're figuring out how to do this, and there's gonna be mistakes that are made and those sorts of things.
Well, I love when I look at Jesus's ministry to his disciples, and you just think, and he let them fail.
That's like wild.
It's fast. Even he sends them out knowing that they're going to fail, right? He sends the disciples out, and they come back and they're like, we couldn't cast out this demon. And he's like, oh, really? That's interesting. Because that demon only gets cast out through prayer and fasting.
Yeah.
Well, you're like, well, why didn't you have that foundations class before you sent him? You know what I mean? Like,
should have told me that.
Yeah. Why didn't you tell him that beforehand?
Yeah.
Because I think it's important for us, and I know it sounds weird, right? But it's important for us to fail forward.
Yeah.
And I agree with what you're saying. Our church has been incredibly gracious in the midst of all of that to just give us room to be like, hey, we're failing, but we're moving forward. We're failing, but we're moving forward. And I think we have to be able to do that if we're going to plant churches, if we're going to empower leaders to live on mission.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really key principle.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's good.
So as you think about where you see community church being in 5, 10, 15 years, like obviously you don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
You can't see this.
Well,
but
we don't do that anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as you, in your mind's eye, as you're thinking about looking further down the road, like where do you envision us being?
Yeah.
What do you think that looks like?
That's a great question. I wasn't prepped for that one. No, I think I'm a plurality of leadership person, right? So like I don't usually come into a meeting and like, hey, here's my vision, here's where we're going, everybody get on board. I really believe that God works and gives us collectively a direction to go. And I think that if I were to say, hey, 3, 5, 7 years, 5, 10, celebrating our 50th anniversary, what do I want to look back on and say that feels successful, right? Yeah. In terms of like faithfulness and did we do what God called us to do? Yep. And I think the church planning piece is a big part of it. I'm excited for the week that I'm going to be up front, because I actually, it's not about me, it's about this panel that we're bringing up front and allowing these people to share their own experiences of where God's called them. And I would love 50th anniversary to have 15, 20, 30 stories of people just like that who are now serving in ministry somewhere. And not just like go into full-time ministry, but like to have more of those stories of people who have said yes and looking back and saying, hey, we made disciples who are now going and making disciples. And so I think that's a big part of it, like getting back to that focus of like, we don't want to be a gathering church. We want to be a sending church. And so, which is hard when you invest a lot of time and energy into raising someone up. And then you send them and then you're like, oh, now we got to start over again. Yep. And we got to raise up another person and send them out. But I think that's what God's called us to do. Yeah. Not just us. Right. But like,
that's like kind of that go and make disciples.
This is what God's called followers of Jesus to do. Yeah. And so I think that's a big part of it. I think if there's some church plants under our belt, if we're doing things in the city and, if something tragic happens, that we're the first place that people call. You know what I mean? Like we're the ones who we're the hospital for sinners, right? And we're the triage unit, and we're the ones who are there when people need us. So I think stories, right? Like I just want to look back and see stories of our obedience and faithfulness to God. Yeah. And so that's a big part of it. Yeah.
That's one of the things I love about the again thing is that it's not this new and novel thing. Yeah. It's like, we're just going to do what God has called us to do again. Yeah. Because that's the call. Yeah. That's what we're supposed to do. And we keep doing it.
Yeah. 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 And I think if there was one thing that, in 10 years, I got all kinds of a playland and a gymnasium and all that stuff, right? Like all of those things that you're like, if God wrote you a blank check and you could just do this. There's a lot of things that I think would be valuable for our church and to be able to serve this city in a way that's really powerful. But I think one of the biggest things is a family resource center where we have counselors, and we have people, because there's so much, man. I just don't even know the depths of anxiety and depression and mental illness and substance abuse. And like, we could go through all the things of really coming alongside of people and having a place where they don't have to be like, well, I tried to go and see a counselor, but they're 6 months out. You know what I mean? Like, to be a resource to people in that way, and then share the life-changing message of Jesus with them, So like meet the real need, and then or meet the physical need. Right. And then be able to meet that spiritual need. And so I think that'd be a huge goal.
That's great. Yeah.
So,
well, it'll be good. It'll be good to walk it with you.
Yeah.
And if I could be as bold as to speak on the behalf of the community church family, we're glad you're in this role, and we're excited to follow you into this, and as you champion all this stuff. And so, is there anything that you want to say, like to close this whole thing out? You not a blank check, but a blank script. Anything you want to say?
I just think, man, it has been such a privilege and honor to be a part of this church family. I can't even, it feels weird that I've been here for 20 years. And Steve was here for 20 years. Alan was here for 25 years. And to be the person who's like, man, maybe I'll be here for 30, maybe I'll be here for 40. Like, you're like, how long can I do this? And I love the fact that we have, my job seems very easy because of the staff that we have. And I just am so grateful for the group of people that God has surrounded me with. I can't tell you, even in the last year, the amount of people that have asked me like, hey, how's it going? And I'm just like, it's easy because of the people that are on the bus and in the right seats on the bus. And so I'm just so grateful for our church family. Come in every Sunday and get hugs from people and hear their stories and pray with people and walk through hard things and celebrate with people. And so it's been a privilege and an honor, and I'm looking forward to whatever God has next. So let's go.
Let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again.